Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fan Experience, the podcast that puts the fans under the spotlight and behind the podium. Have you ever tried to call into a radio talk show to talk about your favorite team, whether it was to vent or to celebrate, their latest win? Well, this is a platform where you can do that and much more. We dive deep into finding out how you became a fan, when you became a fan, and why you remain a fan. We want to find out all about those fan experiences that you had, either watching it at home, watching it with friends, watching it with a loved one, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, at the game, at a bar, what have you. We want to find out those intimate moments that you've had with your team. As always, this show is produced by Playing the Field. Playing the Field is a sports fan community that gives sports fans an outlet to find other sports fans to connect with, whether it be on a platonic level or a romantic level. You want to find somebody to go to games with, go for it. And if you want somebody to find your MVP, then you can sign up at playthefielddating.com right now. Use promo code FANEXPERIENCE. I am your host, Mike Katos, and alongside me is my co-host, Rick Molina.
Mike, how you doing tonight, buddy? It's good to be here.
I'm doing great. How was your weekend of NBA, NHL?
Weekend was good. Saw some Rangers this weekend. Saw a little bit of the NBA. As you know, the Lakers took that 1 seed. And then watched some baseball. Saw the Yankees torch the Red Sox. Saw the Mets have a tough series this weekend. So there was a lot of good action this weekend. But, we're here, the fan experience. So let's get into it, man. Let's get it going.
Yeah, so, we touched on the NBA and NHL. They started play in their respective bubbles. Yeah, NBA's got one bubble down in Orlando. NHL's got 2 bubbles up in Canada. And it's been a great success this weekend. A lot of great games on both fronts. And it is now Tuesday, and we have not heard about any kind of COVID outbreaks, it's a lot of good games. The Islanders are up 2-0 right now in the series. The Rangers are down right now, but they are facing elimination tonight. So let's see if they can pull out something. But all great games, all competitive games. You expect that in the NHL playoffs anyway. But it's great to know that these players are playing and they're not getting into trouble with COVID, as of yet. So fingers crossed that they can get through their respective seasons with limited hiccups, and obviously the title of this episode is Bubble or Trouble. So the trouble is happening in Major League Baseball and continues to happen. We have the Marlins up to about 21 COVID positive. And now over the weekend, the St. Louis Cardinals decided to go to a casino to blow off some steam. And they have now 13 COVID positive. I think it's 7 players and 6 staffers on the Cardinals, in the Cardinals organization. So not good. All these teams are able to just do whatever they want, and it shows that is not the way to play this. And I really don't know what Rob Manfred is doing. Rick, I want to hear your thoughts.
It's interesting, man. You have the NBA and the NHL with their bubbles, and you can see by the way they put that together that it's actually working. These guys, other than the Lou Williams situation where he went to a strip club for some chicken wings, for the most part, these guys they're staying in the bubbles. They're not happy. There was a report today that LeBron James doesn't seem like he's too happy in the bubble, but they're in the bubble. They're tested every day. They're not out and about. They're practicing social distancing. If you look, for example, at the NBA on court side of their games, they're all sitting 6 feet apart from each other. In the NHL, the same thing. It's 5 players on the ice. They're constantly testing. They're in an environment where they're not affected by the COVID-19 virus. If you also notice, when it comes to the Major League Baseball and the NFL, it's the behavior of the players. MLB, guys going out to the casinos as the Cardinals did. the Marlins that were going out and about partying at night. So when you don't adhere to the protocols that they have, social distancing and not congregating with crowds, then that's going to happen. And MLB has a real problem on their hands because one team, the Phillies, almost derailed the season. I mean, the Marlins almost derailed the season. Now you got the Cardinals, and it's postponing games. And the question you have to ask yourself is, if it happens to another team, how many more games are they going to keep postponing? And then in the NFL, with what's going on with COVID, you got some players have tested positive. Matt Stafford had a false positive today. You had Coach Doug Peterson from the Eagles who got COVID-19. But the question in the NFL is they don't have a bubble, right? So they don't have a bubble. Players can still come and go as they please. But the other question is, do guys want to play? Because there's a serious question within the league about the safety of the game. I mean, these guys are tackling. They're running around each other. They are in close confined quarters when they're on the field. And so that's going to be a real issue. I mean, the NFL right now, I think, what's the deadline? Thursday for
the opt-outs, it's now Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. and you got some big names. I mean, Von Miller's considering whether he wants to play. OBJ came out with some comments that, you know, whether this is the right thing for the season. So if there's a way for the NFL or the Major League Baseball to replicate what the NBA and the NHL have done, then I think it'll be a lot safer for the players to go forward. But if they can't find a way to sort of replicate that, or for these guys to just be smart about what they're doing and behave in a way that, you know, they won't ruin the season, then you're going to have a real problem on your hands. So we'll see how it goes. You know, the NFL has got some protocols for the games and, like, you know, who tests what. But what if, like, a whole team tests, like, positive for the coronavirus? I mean, you got 53-man roster, coaches, whatever. Like, what happens then? So I hope they thought those things through. But I think the NBA and the NHL, for the most part, has set the example of how you should do it. And Major League Baseball should have followed those leads. The NFL could still follow the lead because the season's a month away, so it's a wait-and-see approach. But right now, you know, you got to applaud the way the NBA and the NHL have handled this. Major League Baseball, it's just been a complete mess. It's just a disaster. I mean, guys can't, you know, they're just not following what they're supposed to be doing. And then the NFL, guys opting out. So it's a wait-and-see approach for these seasons. And we'll wait and see. But I hope that we have a full NFL season, and I hope for the sake of baseball that they get their act together. Manfred drops the hammer down over there, and these guys act accordingly so we can finish the season and crown a champion.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the MLB goes, you know, I think a lot has happened already, and you can't reverse time on that. And if it keeps spreading, it's just not going to be good. You know, I mean, 2 weekends in a row now, you know, we had a whole Marlins team shut down, which also shut down the Phillies because of the close contact. Then you got now the whole Cardinals team practically shut down. You know, it's not a good situation to have 2 weeks in and you got over 40 infected. You know,
yeah, dude, it's a disaster,
30
man.
And 30 plus are from two teams. You know, so it's not a great start on MLB's, on the MLB front. But the positive to come out of it is the NFL has been working with the Players Union on a new collective bargaining agreement. And with all this MLB news, they've been watching. And they noticed that, you know, these teams are getting, you know, players infected because they're going out and they're partying. They're going to a restaurant. They're going to the bar. They're going to casinos. I mean, come on. I mean, let's be just a little smart about it. But the NFL now, it's pretty much, you know, they're going to practice. They're going to jump on a bus. They're going to jump on the plane, jump on another bus to the hotel, stay at the hotel the night before the game. They cannot go to a restaurant or anywhere where the public goes to, you know, so it has to be either a, you know, shut down restaurant that's been like thoroughly cleaned from any kind of public.
Right.
And they can order room service. They can order, you know, DoorDash and Grubhub and those food delivery services, but they're not allowed to go to a restaurant. They have to stay in that hotel room and wait for their game. Then they go to their game, you know, with multiple buses, and then they go and play. And they go back, and go.
I get it, but here's the thing, man. Like, you got to. It's 4 months, and if you go to the playoffs, let's say it's another let's say 5, almost 6 months. Like, you got to keep these guys in the bubble within the facility. They can't go out. Like, do you really think that a lot of these guys are going to be able to handle this? I mean, we're talking, it's training camp now. I mean, we're talking to like early February that they're going to have to do this. I mean, will they be able to put up with that? I don't know, man. I mean, these guys are used to living the life, and now you're asking them to be confined for almost 6 months. I don't see how that's possible.
I completely agree. And it's really going to be a matter of discipline, willpower on and they are giving them the option. Hey, opt out. You don't like it, opt out. But it's at least there's some kind of plan. MLB is letting them just go out. The NFL saying you're not allowed to. We don't want you going out. We don't want you risking the season. We don't want you risking the health of your teammates either. And
right.
They're all going to have to act as a team. And obviously those teams that are out of the playoff race and stuff like that, halfway through the season, they're going to be like, well, who cares? And then they're really not going to care. Kind of like the Marlins,
Exactly.
They knew they had no chance. So they're like, all right, let's just go party and get COVID. Obviously they want to get COVID, but it's just, they didn't really have that extra motivation, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, it's, I hope that what the NFL put in the collective bargaining agreement is adhered to, somewhat to try and at least, limit the exposure and try and get a little bit more of an NFL season than the MLB is looking like they're going to get. But we will, we'll touch base on it a little bit later, and we will be bringing on our guest. Our guest tonight is Krissi Thomopoulos, and she is a clinical nutritionist and a former basketball player for Hunter College and even played in Greece in Division A2.
Krissi, how are you?
Krissi, how you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Time.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. So, Krissi, we were talking about NBA and NHL, and obviously you're a former basketball player. But let's touch on first, how did you start liking basketball? What got you into it?
Yeah, so I wish I could say that, like, I came from a family where everyone played sports and they just put a basketball in my hand and then I fell in love with it. But I'm actually first generation here. So I'm the first athlete in my family. No one really played sports, and I originally started playing in like 5th or 6th grade because I was really unhealthy and obese, and it was a way for me to have fun and lose some weight. But then in 7th grade, I started playing a little bit more seriously, and that all came about because my dad actually went to a company party and he won Knicks tickets. And I remember they were playing like the Denver Nuggets, and we were like, he said, do you want to go? And I said, sure, let's go. And, it's pretty insignificant for someone else just to be like, oh, we're going to go to a game. But for me, it was because I didn't grow up with people playing sports. It was the first time I was exposed to, what could come of me continuing to play basketball. So the next day I signed up at a Boys and Girls Club. I got recruited to an AAU team, and then I got recruited to high school, and that's all she wrote. That's kind of how it happened. But from my perspective, the most important thing is that I started playing because I wanted to be healthier and to lose weight. But along my journey, I figured out, food is not just for weight loss or to look a certain way. It's a science, and it's a way to fuel your body so that as an athlete, I could perform optimally.
Awesome. And, so you like the Knicks, and you've also mentioned that you rooted for the Spurs as well, and you feel affinity for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from New York, so I'm a Knicks fan through and through. We have our ups and our downs, but I think that's how I'm a loyal fan, because I never gave up on them. Even when the Nets came around, I stuck with the Knicks. I mean, I don't even know if we have a coach right now. Do we? Did they decide on a coach yet?
We have a coach.
We have a coach now? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, good. So I've been studying. The last time I checked in, they were interviewing him. But I was also a fan of the Spurs just because I'm not so much of a fan per se of like the players, and I don't know all their stats and whatever and their backgrounds, but I'm a big fan of the game. And I'm a big advocate for, the lessons that you learn on the court and how they reflect off the court. And yeah, I love the Spurs, especially when Tim Duncan was around. That because a lot of people, they would compare how I played to him, pretty much because we both had bad knees and I don't know, solid footwork, I guess. But yeah, so I was a fan of the Spurs, but I'm mostly a Knicks fan.
Got it. Well, Krissi, it's a pleasure to meet you. You talked about how you were recruited to play AAU ball like right away. Tell us about that experience, because a lot of athletes who play AAU ball, they play with some superstars, they play with some top-notch people. So tell us about that experience playing in that circuit of AAU basketball.
Yeah, so I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I guess it's too late now. But I was in 8th grade playing on a high school team. So I played at high school AAU team, and that was a great experience for me because I was surrounded by females who played the same sport as me, who kind of like lived the same life. It was people that I could look up to because they were older. Like some of them were going off to college the following year, and I was in 8th grade, trying to keep up with them. So it was really good for me to learn about the game, to learn the lifestyle that it requires, and then also how to take care of yourself throughout the whole process.
Interesting. Now, you also talk about your clinical nutritionist. Now, at this time, as you're coming into basketball, as you're playing high school basketball and you're about to go in college, is this the time where you started picking up or starting to find a passion for nutrition as an athlete? Tell us a little bit about that, because I'm curious to know how you sort of fell into that.
Yeah. So as I told you, like I started playing to lose weight, and I did lose weight along the way because I was getting older and practicing all the time and playing on, how it goes. You play on like 3 teams at once, so it's bound to happen. But, I saw that food was not just food. Like nutrition is a science. And I fell in love with it because I realized, I love basketball and I love nutrition as a science. And if I do the right thing in both those, aspects of my life, then I could do what I really want to do. And in terms of nutrition, we could be here all day talking about nutrition in sports. And the misinformation that's out there, and how much of a need there is for more registered dietitians within the sports realm.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's good to hear.
Awesome. And so you also were given the opportunity to go and play for Greece, and you mentioned that you loved it over there, and just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's still a little unbelievable to me. And if you ask anyone who I played with or against, or tell them like, hey, did you know Krissi played basketball in Greece? They'd be like, no. Like that's unreal. Because I wasn't always, the most talented. And I think that surprise factor is actually something that I take pride in, because I wasn't the best, but I was hardworking and I played my role. And it actually came about like in the craziest way, because from the time I was like 12 to when I graduated from Hunter, I dedicated my whole life to basketball. And when we didn't win a championship, I was like devastated. So I was like, I'm done with team sports. That's it. I'm going to an individual sport. And I started actually competing. Well, I was going to compete, but I was training in American style kickboxing. And I really think that everything happens for a reason, because there was like a divide. There's like the Krissi who played basketball in college, and then the Krissi who played basketball in Greece, because kickboxing, in basketball, you can kind of rely on other people, like if you're having a bad day, or you can play your role. It depends on who you're playing. Like if you're having a bad day, someone else could drop 40 and be like, oh, we still won, and you still get credit for it. But in kickboxing, if you don't show up, if you don't prepare, if you're not accountable, you're going to get kicked in the face, and it's no one's fault but your own. And and just in the middle of training, I was preparing for nationals actually for kickboxing. I got this phone call from Greece, And this guy was telling me, he was like, hey, you want to come play in Greece? I was like, this is a scam. Like, how is this real? Like, you want me to come play in Greece? And then I remembered, he was like, yeah, we saw your highlight tape, because while I was still at Hunter, I had sent a highlight tape to a few coaches. And he was like, our 3-4 just tore their ACL. And we like the way you play. We play this defense where we need someone who communicates. And I was obnoxious on defense and communicating. That was my strong skill, in addition to taking charges. And he was like, I really think that you'll fit the role that we need to fill, but you need to be prepared because you played a 5 and now you're going to be like a 3-4. And are you prepared to do that? But in the process of kickboxing, I was in the best shape of my life. I was mentally tough. I'd lost like 20 pounds. I was like, send over the contract. Let's do it. And before I knew it, I was in Get Out playing basketball.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I would have probably thought it was a scam too. Like,
yeah, right. Some random guy from Greece called it.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, new phone. Who's this? Yeah. I'm like, what's happening?
Where did you play? Like, did you go to different countries, or was it mostly other teams in Greece that you played?
No, so it was the national team there. So I only played in Greece, and I played for a conference that was only islands, which was actually amazing because, we would take a ferry every other weekend and we go to a different island to play games on different Greek islands. So, I mean, I don't think there was much more I could ask for in my life at that time.
100%. Krissi, you spoke about how in Greece the young athletes, the young teammates would come up to you and ask you questions and talk about your experiences. So talk about that, because fans want to know there's a difference between how you play ball in the States and how you play in Greece. So tell us about what those questions were like. How did you try to sort of inspire these young ladies to continue in a career of basketball, and how were you a mentor to them?
Yeah, so I think that there's this perception here in the States that it's like, and of course Eurobasket is an accomplishment, but at other levels you can play in Greece. I'm not going to say that it's like a breeze. You can just show up and play, but here in the United States, we do have a level of competition that is above what it usually is in some areas in Europe. Or in Greece. I can only speak for Greece. And when I went there, I would tell the girls, like, because they would come up to me, and sometimes like little girls will come to the stadium, or people from the village or wherever you are, they can come in and they can watch, or like sometimes we'll tell them to join in for fun if we're not going over anything important. And they'd be like, oh no, I'm not good enough to like go play in college in the United States, or I'm not good enough to play like you. And I was like, well, I wasn't good either. I was okay. Like I said, I wasn't terrible, but you can, if you stick to something and if you just put your mind to it, you can do it. And I told them, you don't have to be number one. I was never number one, but the person who was number one knew that I was right behind them, waiting for them to get tired or lazy or slip up or go out the night before and not be able to play. And then I took advantage of that opportunity. And I told them, and even when I coached here, I coached a middle school here in the States, 2-time champions, by the way.
Congratulations.
And when I coached at a middle school here, I would tell them who you are on the court is a reflection of who you're going to be like off the court as well. And that's what I would tell the girls in Greece. I'm like, I'm no one special. I just worked really hard and I did what I love, and you could do that with anything.
That's incredible. And you also speak about your humility. It caught my, just caught my eye how you say basketball saved your life in so many ways, and it taught you, how to be successful yet humble. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, how did the sport of basketball save your life in such a way that it gave you such perspective in life?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just, it really kept me out of trouble. It surrounded me with people who I could look up to, especially when I was the only freshman on varsity in high school. I could have been doing a lot of other things. And instead, I was sticking with my team. We had those 5 a.m. practices. And from a young age, I learned, like, your actions have consequences. So that was one way, which it kind of, I think, saved my life in many ways. It also saved my life in a health perspective, because if I never got into sports or if I never got into basketball, maybe I would have had a lot of other health issues right now. Who knows? And then also I had some like other things going on in my life, and basketball was my outlet. And I think from what I've experienced with other teammates, it's their outlet as well. And when, like I said, like when I finally graduated from Hunter, I could take care of those other things that were kind of a mess in my life. And then when I went back to basketball, I realized, I'm coming back stronger than ever. It taught me a lot of lessons about, self-discipline, time management, how to be a leader, all these things that you need in life. And now, I'm the first person in my family to get a Master of Science degree. I'm the first one in my entire family to ever play basketball in college or play a sport in college. I'm going to be the first doctor in my family, like a doctor of nutrition. I'm getting my PhD now. And all of that is because I played sports and I had great coaches who really instilled the idea that, what you do on the court is what you do off the court.
That's great. I love those lessons, and I completely agree. Sports is just, puts you on that path where you can't get into trouble in ways that people that don't play sports, at a young age, don't, go down. And, tell us about like your relationship with your teammates, whether, from Hunter or from high school or even from Greece, and the bond that you guys form.
Oh yeah. So, my teammates became my best friends throughout high school. My high school team, of course, I got along with them, but I think my AAU team was probably because in the summertime, we spent every day together. We had training or we were just hanging out or, my coaches really trained us as if we were a Division I basketball team when we were only, how old, like 16, 17 years old. So every moment of our time was spent together. And, those are my friends. We have matching tattoos. Just for my AAU team, some of us. We made stupid mistakes together. We learned from it. We ran together for our stupid mistakes, and those are friends that I'll have forever. And my teammates in Greece, I still talk to them. I FaceTime them all the time because when, here I was playing for fun, like AAU was fun. In college, it was a lot more serious than that. But then once I got to Greece, I needed to show up every single day because that's what they were paying me for. They didn't fly me in for me to be like, oh no, I don't feel like practicing today. So we knew the standard that we wanted to hold each other at. And that just made us even better friends. And I really can't wait to go back to see them.
Awesome. Yeah. I've only been to Greece once and I want to go back for sure. I could just imagine that experience of, just jumping on a ferry, going to another island every weekend to play a different team. That must be, so much fun. So let me ask you, have you been paying attention to the NBA since it started back up?
I've been studying a lot. Let me tell you, I'm one of those people where now that I've accomplished my goal, I move on to the next goal. So yeah, of course I watch basketball sometimes. I watched a little bit of the 76ers game last night. I think Simmons fouled out in 10 minutes. I don't know. It was really fast. I don't remember, but I was like, oh wow, that's me back at Hunter. That's so cool. But I watch a little bit here and there. But I did want to comment because you guys were just talking about the COVID situation. I know that it's not the best situation for them to be in the bubble, but they get to do what they want to do. They get to play basketball. They're safe. Their families are safe. Other people are safe because it really is a chain reaction. And being, an aspiring healthcare professional, I'm almost there. I just have to take my board exam. I can tell you that it's a lot more serious than just oh, I have to be in a bubble when I'm in an arena. If one person gets it, 15 other people can get it. And so I'm proud of the NBA for making the accommodations that they have. Those electronic fans are awesome.
So you don't condone of people going to a casino right before a game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, even without COVID times, is that where you should be?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think you have to do much research on that either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes sense. But, Rick, you got anything?
Yeah, Christy, you're in the fan experience, and one of the things we like to ask our fans or our guests about these superstitions, and you got some interesting ones that I read here. You shaved your legs the night before a game, morning for travel. You had 6 egg whites for breakfast. Ate pasta. Tell us about, where do these come from? Like, were these just some things that just sort of happened on their own, or was it? I mean, where did all this start?
Yeah, so it's like I started with one thing and then we would win, or I would have a good game and I'm like, oh, well, now I have to do what I did the night before again. So yeah, I think the nutrition ones are what first come to mind. Obviously, it's like I wake up way earlier than I should. So I go to sleep early, wake up early, I eat my breakfast, then I'll go shoot around, just to get my muscles warm. I have arthritis in my knees, got to get the juices flowing a little bit. And then 4 hours before the game, I have to eat pasta. In between, and it's plain pasta. And then in between there, I'll braid my hair to travel to the game. That's what I was doing in Greece. And then once I got there, I would put it up in a bun, because if I wore the braid, it would whip me in the face.
Okay.
So it had to be in a bun. Yeah, and then during the game, like if one shoe came untied and I had to tie my shoe, the other shoe also, I untied it and had to tie it. What else? Oh, if you wipe the bottom of one sneaker, you have to wipe the bottom of the other sneaker. And then don't even get me started with my foul shot. It looks ridiculous, and it was terrible in the beginning, but towards the end, let me tell you, my free throw percentage was great. So
those are some interesting superstitions, I gotta say. It got me laughing over here. The other thing, and then a follow-up question I had. So you're a clinical nutritionist. So you're talking to a couple of guys. I mean, I can speak for myself. I'm not the healthiest of person. So for somebody who's looking into sort of an athlete who's getting to that, like how do they sort of approach their nutrition? Like, what are the things they can do? What can they change? Like, tell our viewers who might be saying, hey, I need to sort of get a little healthier, how they can embark on that journey to do that. Because you'd be the great person to talk to.
Yeah, so I actually worked with athletes for a while, a couple of guys in D League over here. I'm in Philadelphia now. That's why I say over here. And I also worked at a D1 university around here as a dietitian's assistant. And I can tell you that we approach every person's health individually, and registered dietitians are the most qualified nutrition professionals. We go through, and many people don't know how registered dietitians become dietitians. I mean, a dietitian can say they're a nutritionist, but a nutritionist cannot say that they're a registered dietitian. Actually, anyone can say that they're a nutritionist. So to become a registered dietitian, you have to get your bachelor's degree, and there are a number of classes that you have to fulfill. Then you can get a master's degree, and by 2024, every registered dietitian is going to be required to have a master's degree. And then you have a clinical training, and it's kind of like our form of a residency. So it's a dietetic internship, and once you complete that, then you can sit and take a national board exam. And if you pass that, you are then a registered dietitian. But when you're working with athletes, that's why it's so important. And a lot of Division I programs and all sports teams, I know a whole bunch of sports dietitians have dietitians on board, because it's so critical. Because like I said, you're getting paid to perform, and nutrition is what gives you that fuel to do what you're supposed to do. And if you're just trying to eat healthier, I mean, it's astounding to people when I say no food is bad food, and they're like, what does that mean? I know, right? Look at your face.
Yeah, because I got some popcorn I'm going to chew down over here.
Popcorn's great.
Okay, good to know. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, sometimes when people like load it up with butter, we could say maybe just a little less, but it's fine. Anyway, so it really has to be individualized, and you can't just say one diet fits all. One diet does not fit all. It needs to be personalized. And just to give you a taste of that, when I was working over here with the athletes, we would actually put them in a bod pod. And bod pods are really rare. This machine, it measures your body composition. They used to call it like the spaceship. If you Google it later, you'll see it looks like a little spaceship. And it would give us a printout of their body composition, and we would personalize the diet to the athletes' specific goals, or to what their body was composed of. And that's how we would adjust their calories and their macronutrients, along with nutrition education.
Awesome. That's fast. Yeah, Mike. Yeah.
Awesome. So I put down on the bottom here ways that people can contact you on Instagram at the bottom, VM_research_RD, and then the Migraine RD is your website.
Yes, and I should touch on, I don't work in sports anymore. I don't work. Since my research interests are mostly in nutritional neuroscience, I actually study the connections between food and the brain. And specifically, once I pass my board exam, I'll be working with individuals who are diagnosed with vestibular migraine, which is really a debilitating type of migraine, but it also affects their balance. And people can be sensitive to light, to noises, to smells. And a lot of athletes actually are diagnosed with vestibular migraine due to repeat head injuries, because it affects the vestibular nerve, which is between the ear and the brain. And that's kind of what signals to our brain, where we are in a certain area and how we can balance. So yeah, people can check out my website, Migraine RD. You can see the services that I'll be providing very soon, and also find out more about what vestibular migraine is and what a registered dietitian is.
Yeah, well, we're definitely gonna have to keep talking, because I'm
100%.
I need a little bit of help with the me and you both being Greek, we're raised to, hey, you're eating this, you're eating this.
Yes, I tell everyone. I tell everyone, Greek people, like, their idea of a diet is refilling your plate when it's empty, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, salad's water." I've heard that so many times. It's just salad. You'll burn it no matter what it has on it. It's water.
Yeah, my grandparents were notorious. They're like, no, you gotta eat. Yeah. And you know what? Like, back when I was a kid, I would eat a lot, but I would stay thin, and that didn't really translate well later on in life. But my grandparents would God rest them, God rest their souls, but they would say, you need to eat more. You're too skinny, and now they're probably looking at me like, okay, eat less. But no, it's it was a pleasure having you on, and everyone, please follow her on Instagram, visit her website, migrainerd.com, and Krissi, thank you for all your time and all your amazing stories, and we wish you best of luck with your boards coming up, and how much time you got left on
I'm taking in a month or so. So I'm just studying, and then I start my PhD program.
Awesome. Good luck. Best of luck to you. And,
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch. And, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for coming on. And, thank you for all your support.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Krissi. Be safe.
Thanks.
Have a
You
good night.
too. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm going to have to keep talking and try to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
get a nice little diet plan going, but
I'm definitely gonna hit Krissi up, because I've had one too many Popeyes chicken sandwiches in the last 6 months. So Krissi Thomopoulos, everybody, hit her up on Instagram. Her website is what's that?
migrainerd.com.
Yeah, if you want to get in shape. That's wonderful, man. That's amazing, dude. Like, somebody just calls her out of nowhere and goes, "Hey, we got a contract for you. Why don't you just come over to Europe, to Greece, and just play for us?" So, like, what? Like, who does that?
I know. Hey, that it must be surreal getting that call. And yeah, like she said, she thought it was a scam. I'd be like,
imagine?
I mean, it sounds a little fishy to me too. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, this is just Greece calling. We want you to come play basketball for us. It's like, okay.
No big deal. Google us. You know what? We're an A2 team. Just Google us. Figure it out. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. But great stories, and I love the the lessons and the path that sports put her on. and how sports, got her involved in all these different things. And now, now she's doing great, on her way to become a doctor and, nutritionist, and, more power to her, best of luck on her boards in a month, and, starting that PhD program. We definitely need a lot of doctors out there. So, let's go.
We need some. I need a nutritionist. So I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna call her.
Yeah.
All right. News and notes.
You want to kick it off?
Yeah. I mean, let's get started this week. OBJ comes out and says we're not sure if we should play the season, but then decides to opt in. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this dude. Like, I don't know where he's at, man. I really don't. Like, does he want to play? Does he want to play? Does he want to play for the Browns? Like, I don't know how you can just go out and make a comment like that and then just say I'm going to play. Like, the guy's just like, I just think he's like miserable right now and he's just not in a happy place and wants to get out of Cleveland in the worst way. What are your thoughts? What do you think about what he said?
It's tricky for me because I agree that there is some things that need to be worked out. I don't think that they should say no season. And if he doesn't want to play, then opt out. I mean, he has until Thursday, until 4:00 Eastern to opt out. If he wants to opt out, I mean, nobody's really gonna miss him. Let's be real, except maybe the kicking net. It's there's definitely some extra things that need to be worked on to make sure that everyone is going to be safe and healthy. And with this collective bargaining agreement, stuff coming out today and yesterday, I do have a little bit more hope in the NFL season. Yes, you're saying, are they really going to want to, stay home and not live the high life? And I get that, especially the younger players, like they're pretty much in their glory. They're like, oh, I signed an NFL contract and, now I want to go out there and really party it up. But, you have to take everything into account. Don't go to casinos. Don't go to bars. Like they want, they're asking you to try and stay home and try to stay away from, outside people. And even if somebody in their household, God forbid, had COVID, NFL is going to place them and pay for housing for them. So like NFL really wants them to do the right thing, but of course you can't. I mean, it's kind of like with anything. Obviously there's laws in the world, and people have to go adhere to those laws, or bad things happen. So it's really just a matter of what route are they going to take? Are they going to adhere to it, make sure that everyone has a safe and healthy football season, no matter if you are 2-12 or not? You still want everyone to finish their seasons out. You want the game of football to stay going strong. It's really going to be up to the players at that point. And I hope that the majority of them can really, batten down the hatches and limit their exposure to the public world. And I just love that, there's an actual plan in place, and the NFL is actually telling people to please refrain from that. The MLB's not. That, and that's the difference right there. That's where NFL has a shot. MLB, I don't think does.
Well, it's been a disaster, MLB. But here's the other thing you got to think of, man. Right? Let's say they have a game, and whatever let's say what team, whatever the team is, one team has a COVID outbreak. So, I mean, what do? Do you suspend their game for the next couple of weeks? I mean, let's say you got 20, 30 guys on a roster who get sick. That means you got to suspend this other team's game. You got to quarantine those guys. I mean, it's just sort of a domino effect, man. I mean, one game, right, could literally ruin the whole season. Like, what do you do then? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you quarantine? Like, you got to stop 2 games. You got to postpone 2 games. Like, at what point do you say, like, if this happens, we got to call it quits? I mean, that's the only concern that I have. Like, I'm great that they're playing a season. If guys want to opt out, for your health, that's great. But if it's an outbreak, it affects like pretty much most of the schedules if you think about it. Like, if if a team gets an outbreak, the team that they just played before can't play, right? And the team they're playing, and then the team coming up can't play. Like, it's just, there's so much the variables. It's just so much. It's impossible to sort of predict. So I don't know what's going to happen, man. If God forbid that happens, I just hope that, like you said, they stick to their protocols, they stay in their bubbles, they do the right thing. But if you have one team that gets an outbreak, it's different in football than in baseball, because it's going to affect. I mean, it's just going to affect the whole league, because it's not like they're playing 2-3 game series. They're playing like one game each weekend. So it's going to be a tough situation if that happens, and I hope it doesn't.
Obviously I hear what you're saying, but there's always going to be that risk, no matter what. Even with the NBA and the NHL, they're going to be in a bubble. Well, God forbid something happens, where one person gets it, then a lot of people are going to get it, of course. Because it's even the bubble can't be foolproof. There's got to be something. What if, what are they eating? What if somebody orders DoorDash, even if it comes through and gets checked through a couple of different gates to to get there, but the food that was in there was packed by somebody with COVID. I mean, it's just nothing's foolproof with this. It's just, I know, but
I just think it's so.
Another thing is, NFL, the second they walk in to practice and onto the into the facility, they're getting daily tests. And if they catch it right then and there, they quarantine them. Get away. And then hopefully that was enough for them to, avoid all their other teammates to getting it. I mean, if you're all going to take a trip to the casino, those are the things, like, you don't have your whole team follow you to the casino, and
that's just them being just like saying, you know what, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna do what I want to do. To hell with it. But that's the problem.
But if they're going to do that, then there's no chance. But the NFL is telling them not to. So
these guys, I don't know, man.
The MLB is allowing it. That is the difference. That's the difference maker. Yes. Well, the NFL players don't really like to, they like to run by the beat of their own drum and all that. But it's obviously, like, people like Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, like they're very, they're very big-headed, and anything they say goes. And I'll marry a kicking net if I want to, and go in a cryo chamber without shoes, and whatever the case is. I want a new helmet. So it's really going to be up to the players, and we have to just hope for the best, that they want to play this season as bad as NFL fans want them to watch a season.
But I think here's the thing. I think they do want to play. I think for the guys who want to play, they want to play. The question is, dude, I mean, like you said, nothing is foolproof. Like, if one person gets it, man, and we know how contagious this thing is and how it spreads fast. And if this thing spreads fast and it gets to one whole team, like, one team could literally derail like a season. I mean, as you all saw with Major League Baseball. So that's the thing they got to be careful of. So, and I hope that the contingency plans that the NFL has, that they've set in place for this, will be enough to mitigate something like that, where they don't have to, shut down the season or go from 16 games to 10 games or whatever it is. I mean, we want a full season, full playoffs. We want a Super Bowl. So, knock on wood that these guys behave and, we don't have these outbreaks. But it's going to be interesting, man. It really is. I want to see what these guys – I want to see what happens if there's an outbreak, how the NFL handles it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just – all I'm going to say is I'm more optimistic now after the collective bargaining agreement came out than I was a couple of days ago, and I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll see what – and if they don't want to play, they have until Thursday, 4 p.m., and for the voluntary. And if after that, I heard that it's like irrevocable. You can't just like opt back in. Like Nick opted out, and then now he's opting back in. But you can opt out if some medical reason, or like a family member gets sick. Things like that happen inside the season. Then they can opt out for that. For that $350. So at least they do have that option later on, but they can't opt out if they're 1-11.
Right? They can't pull a Yoenis Cespedes and just say, "I'm out."
Exactly. That was my.
That's where this leads into right here. That's where we're going.
Leading into, yes, exactly. Yoenis. What a perfect name for the stuff that he pulled this weekend. It's he just left his hotel room. Packed up all his stuff. Nobody could find him. They couldn't even find him in Magic City, so he wasn't there. I thought him and Lou Williams went out and had a little cocktail in midday in Atlanta, but he just disappeared, and his agent called. And there's a couple of stories out there, so I don't know what to believe, but long story short, the agent said that Yoenis is opting out of the season due to the Mets sucking. Oh, I mean COVID. It's the Mets of, it's really business as usual with the Mets. But this was rock bottom for, with the Cespedes stuff.
I mean, like I just said, you can't make it up, dude. I mean, I was sitting here listening to that. The guy didn't show up. And the first thing I was like, my God, something must have happened to him. You don't show up to the stadium. They sent security to his hotel. And the dude just said, you know what? I'm done, man. I'm out. I get my stuff. Then calls his agent probably while he got to his ranch. He's like, hey, look, tell him I'm done. And here's the thing with Cespedes. It's been like this since the guy got here. It's been one show after another, whether it's on his ranch, breaking his ankles, chasing wild boars or whatever it was that he was doing, or, it's just enough. And for the Mets and for, like, their young team, like, I think it's best that he's off the channel. But the way he did it, dude, it was just so, it's so Metsish and it's so Cespedes. Like, that's just typical of what he does. And it was just horrible, man. I mean, we went from the guy thinking the guy that got kidnapped, he was missing. And look, at the end of the day, I just think he didn't want to play anymore. He realized the Mets aren't that good. He's not going anywhere with the team. He's already made, $130 million with them since he's been with the Mets, or whatever kind of exorbitant amount of money he's made. And he just said, look, I just don't want to play anymore. And you know what's funny? A guy like that, he's going to sit out this season. Next season's going to roll around, and some team's going to offer him a minimum contract. He's going to go play, and he's going to hit 25 home runs, and he's going to drive in, 90 RBIs. And guys like that get second shots because of their talent. But what he's done to the Mets is just – it's wrong, It's just completely wrong. But for those guys, they need to just be like, forget it. We're done with them. Move on and play ball. And it's a good thing for the Mets. I think it's time to move on from Cespedes and that whole situation. It's just it's a mess. Typical Mets, a mess.
My entire team sucks. So
hey man, look, you could be like the Yankees, dude. We're just crushing it.
Yeah.
Other than Gary Sanchez being a complete head case, we're crushing it. But hey, go ahead, talk about your Mets. Tell our fans about your love for the Mets. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, well, they won yesterday. That was nice.
Cespedes.
Yeah, post Cespedes. That must have been what it was. But it was DeGrom, so the chances are in our favor when it's DeGrom, and the Braves actually just lost. Now that we already played them 4 times, now they lost their star pitcher for the year. But that's obviously it's a big blow. Soroka, shining star, he tore his Achilles and he's out for the year. So that's not great news. Definitely not for the Braves and for baseball in general. I mean, who knows how many more weeks we have in baseball, to be honest with you, though. How many games is he really going to miss? But so while the Mets are dealing with their rock bottom situation, we want to definitely touch on the new part owner of the XFL.
Yes.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his ex-wife and a investment group have bought the XFL for, the rock bottom price of $15 million. I mean, that's, for a sports league, that's crazy. But, The Rock has always been, he's always loved the game of football. He played in college. He played in the CFL, didn't work out. Then he went to the WWE, and and now he's obviously one of the highest grossing movie stars on the planet. But he's never lost the love for football. He even had a show, Ballers, where he was very much involved with football in that show. So congratulations to him. From going from $7 in his pocket and signing to the WWE, and now he owns an entire football league, and hopefully he can run it a little bit better than Roger Goodell runs it. And I honestly think, with obviously his, The Rock with his, charisma and his, pretty much his business know-how, and the fact that he's not going to have to worry about, the WWE, like Vince McMahon does. I think The Rock's going to give the XFL a fighting shot, and I think he's going to really, put his best foot forward with it, because I think it means that much to him. And, having his own football league, it's got to be a great feeling, after everything he's been through. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, what The Rock gives it legitimacy. When Vince McMahon's name is involved, it's like, oh, it's wrestling, it's a show. Like when they first came out with the XFL, and then they come out with it again, and then because of COVID and everything, it goes bankrupt. So he gives it a sense of legitimacy. People are going to take him seriously, and I think another thing, he's going to attract some names, man. Like if they do this right and they run it right, the collaboration they can have with the NFL, they can do some serious business that people are going to want to go to these games. If you look at his movies, the way he promotes it on Instagram, his tequila, his workout videos, he has such a following that I think that alone is going to draw people to the stands. Forget about the product in the field for a second. Just the fact that he owns it and his people are going to be out there. He's going to be promoting his brands. I think he's going to have backing of WWE wrestlers. And I think the general public at large has such an affinity for this guy that I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to be able to turn that league around. He's going to run it the right way, get professionals in there to run that thing the right way. And if he can work in tandem with the NFL, make it kind of like a league where the NFL can pluck talent out of that. I think it's great. I think it's great for the NFL for that to happen. I think it's great for the XFL. I think it's great for football fans who want to watch live football year round. I think that's wonderful. And for The Rock to be in the public eye, I think that's great, bro. His story is awesome. $7. Guy decides to go into professional wrestling, becomes a legend, with his trademark, if you smell what The Rock is cooking and
everything. He was just, he really was and still is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. He's got that quality, and
exactly.
And it's really never gone away. I'm obviously, he's gone down different paths as far as, promoting the, trying to stick to the Dwayne Johnson more than The Rock lately. But, obviously, The Rock was his wrestling persona, but everyone still knows him. Everyone says The Rock,
everybody,
no matter how much. Yeah, exactly. But, it's I'm very optimistic, and it was doing good before COVID.
It was.
So
I was watching some of the
now
games.
It's only going to propel it to new heights with The Rock behind it. I'm excited for it. I really am, and I wonder when they can get rolling, because I think when they originally went bankrupt, XFL said that they were going to take off the rest of this year and I believe next year, because they had to rebuild, pretty much the bankroll again. But now that, you got The Rock behind it, and then you have an investment group behind that, I wonder if they could play in 2021.
We'll see, man. It all depends on the finances. But you know what's interesting, Mike? Look at, you got in baseball, you got J-Rod, you got J-Lo and A-Rod trying to buy a team. You got The Rock buying an XFL team. In the NFL, you got Mahomes buying it, being part of an ownership group. So you're starting to see little by little these athletes, these former athletes, current athletes are getting, Kelsey and DeMarco Murray. They're all starting to get involved in leadership group. And I think as the years go on, I would say within the next 5 to 10 years, whether it's baseball, whether it's in the NBA, the NFL, Kevin Garnett is trying to get a group to buy the Timberwolves. You're starting to see former professional athletes buy teams. And I think that's great, man. Yeah. I think it's great for the leagues. You get diversity in the ownership group. You kind of get rid of that old boys club. You get new thinking, a new energy in the leagues. And it's great, man. I think it's awesome. I think as we go along, you're going to see more of these groups and more of these guys own teams. And it's going to be great to have that perspective going from player now to owner, letting the guys know that are coming up behind them that, hey, you can reach these goals. You can get to the pinnacle of ownership. Yep. And I think it's wonderful. And, like getting back to The Rock, I mean, anything this guy touches is gold, whether it's his shoes on Under Armour or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to go on this limb here and say it may be horrible football, but the fact that The Rock owns it, that he can go out. I don't know if you saw in 1999 when the XFL came out, he did cut a promo on the field.
No, I didn't.
There's a video out there. Check it out.
I thought that was a joke. I thought it was a joke back then. So,
but he cut a promo on the field as The Rock, and I'm wondering when he comes back as the owner, if he's going to be cutting promos out there because he's got to sell this thing. And I think, man, that's going to be great, bro. If he can go back to his old days.
I mean, let's be real. The first game, he has to walk up into that 50-yard line and go, finally.
Yes. The Rock is back in football. Yes.
You have to.
And he's got to do it. Yeah.
He for sure has to do that, and it's gonna be a fun time with him running the show. And yeah, like you said, these athletes and these celebrities, we're moving away from oil tycoons and
tech billionaires.
Yeah, now we're getting personal brands behind teams. I mean these athletes now with the internet and social media, like their personal brands are just through the roof, way more so than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. Now they build outside of their actual sport. They're sitting there building their brands just day in and day out, and it's great. I think it brings an extra level to the game, to entertainment, to sports, all of it. So there's definitely a lot of good with social media, as well as some bad, with younger kids that don't know how to, really
don't know how to behave on social media. Yeah,
use it to the maturity level is not really the best for the younger kids, but we'll get.
But I also think that as a fan, right? Like you see these players, like they want to win, like they feel like you feel, like especially guys who are passionate on the field, like they want to win and they understand the fans' passion of winning. So you get that in an ownership group. Because like today's owners, you don't really feel like it's more about money and Jerry Jones is about his yacht and this and that. Whereas you get former players, the player's like on your side, like he's with you because he wants to win. And I think for fans, I think it's great that you have these players that are owning because they're gonna be a part of it, so to speak. And it's gonna be fun to see. I can't wait to see it.
I want Kevin Hart to buy the Eagles after his Super Bowl. That was great.
He'll do comedy acts on he'll do cut his comedy skits out. Who I want on my team? Dave Chappelle. If that guy can own a team, man, that'd be awesome. Let him own the Cleveland Browns. I think it'd be great.
I'll take Jim Brewer buying the Mets.
Saw that. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh really? He was actually in the running.
Well, I don't know if it was him. Somebody. I was reading an article today about somebody else. It might have been one of the hedge fund guys or something like that. But I was reading something about the Mets. I don't know if that was the name, but
there's no updates on that. When are they actually?
I think because they're going through the bids right now.
Yeah. Well,
they're going through the bids right now, and who knows, man? Who knows when that's? Oh, Josh Harris. That's what it was. He is. I think he's the owner of the. He's a private equity billionaire, and he already owns 3 major league sports: the 76ers, the Devils, and the Premier League Soccer Crystal Palace team. So, we'll see.
All right. I mean, the Wilpons need to come out, but obviously they're. I mean, as according to Scott, they're really good guys, but I still don't approve of them as the owners. But
shout out to Scott for giving them the thumbs up there. But they got to go, Scott. They got to go.
Yeah, I mean, come on, they can't even buy 2 Keurigs. But anyway, if they can't even buy multiple Keurigs, they can't fund the team. But
coffee machine in that common area over there.
Yeah. So we got anything else in news and notes tonight? Well, obviously Lakers, they clinched the Western Division. They're just well out in front of everything. What's the Rangers looking like? What Where
Rangers right now, I'll tell you right now, Rangers are commercial right now. So we'll see. They're down 2-0. They might get knocked out tonight, so we'll see.
Okay.
By the way, let me ask you this. I've been watching some of the games in the bubbles. I mean, it doesn't feel like the same. Like, I don't know that I see the same intensity out there as you would see with fans out there and people in their own stadiums.
I mean, of course, that's gonna come with that territory. You don't have that adrenaline.
Like, it's like watching these empty baseball stadiums. Like, sometimes these guys lack juice, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not stopping Aaron Judge much.
Nah, that guy's crushing everything. You know what would really suck if another team, if like these outbreak gets worse in Major League Baseball and they have to stop the season? That would suck for him, man.
I don't know. I'm not too optimistic that this season ends, for the MLB. And you know what, the Yankees really are in a prime position right now.
Yeah, don't say. Come on, man. Don't let's. You know what? Let's let it play out, and I think we're gonna be okay. So we'll see.
When did the Mets and the Yankees play? When was the first time they play?
I'm not sure. It's Rangers 1-1, 1-1 going into the third.
All right. Well,
got some life.
Still a chance.
All right.
I think that's it, right? For news and notes.
Good one, man. And as usual, I'm going to get my post-celebratory Diet Coke for our 5th episode.
There we go.
I want to thank Krissi Thomopoulos for joining us tonight. That was a great interview. And again, follow her. Go see her at migrainerd.com. Did I say that right?
You got it. migrainerd.com. Yes, definitely. Visit the website. Get in contact with Krissi. Thank you again to Krissi for coming on. We got another great show lined up for you Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Stay safe out there. There's a storm coming on the East Coast if you're here. I even lost power earlier. I didn't know what was going to happen, but we got it back just so we can bring this show to you. So there's higher powers at work here. So thank you for watching. And in the description below or above on Facebook, we do have a questionnaire link. If you do want to come on and share your fan experiences and come and talk about your team and the reasons behind becoming a fan of that team, please fill out the questionnaire. We'll email you if we think you're a fit for the show, and we'll love to have you on. So until Thursday, everybody, have a great night. Be safe and enjoy all the sports. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Buddy, see you Thursday.